If your ignition system needs some maintenance, but you would rather get a performance option than a factory replacement, this MSD Blaster Coil Pack in red will be a great option for your 2000 to 2006 4.0 liter TJ Wrangler. Now, coil packs are one of those wear parts that inevitably will need to be replaced due to just normal wear and tear, cracking, or even water damage, and on an older generation Jeep, this is going to be a very common replacement. Now, this will be a great kit to look into for your TJ if you've started to notice a lack of performance, whether that's a rough idle, lack of responsiveness, or it's escalated to a misfire. Now, again, this is simply going to be a direct replacement as well as an upgrade for increased performance and better responsiveness, so this will even be great if you are just looking to do some maintenance on your TJ again and replace those parts that you know you inevitably will have to. Now, this kit is going to improve the spark of your coils or your spark plugs to increase efficiency when burning that fuel mixture. It's going to smooth out that idle for a more comfortable experience with your inline six, and depending on how worn your factory coil is, this is going to offer a noticeable power increase and better ignition responsiveness. Now, these coils are going to improve the spark, which is going to increase efficiency when burning that fuel mixture. It's going to smooth out that idle for a more comfortable experience with your inline six, and depending on how worn your factory ones are, this is going to offer a noticeable power increase and better ignition responsiveness. Now, the increase is going to depend on the life of your current set, so if they are worse for wear, you'll most likely see a substantial improvement compared to what you're used to with your old coils. Not to mention, this is going to feature that bright red look for underneath the hood to match with any other red components if you're specifically looking to match that red color scheme. Now, this will come with a factory style construction. Again, it is going to be a direct bolt-in replacement, but this is going to be very tough with an auto-grade plastic housing to reduce any cracking over time. Now, each coil here will have improved core windings and a resin-based insulator, which is going to produce that very hot spark for maximum performance. Now, again, this is also going to come with everything that you need included in the kit, and not only are you getting the coils here, but you're also getting a factory style plug on the end, making sure that it is plug and play. This kit is going to come in at about $200, and that's going to be pretty average for a kit like this compared to others available on the page. Now, what I will say is that you are getting what you pay for in the quality, in the design, as well as the construction, and the fact that this is going to make a substantial improvement for better performance compared to factory style replacements. Now, I personally think if you are looking for some better performance out of your TJ and your inline six, then this is going to be a great option to pick. Now, install will be a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and should take you about an hour to get the job done with some basic hand tools. Now, speaking of the install, one of our customers here has installed this on their TJ and is going to walk you through what that process looks like step by step. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Tools used for this video were a 3/8 inch drive foot-pound torque wrench, a 3/8 drive socket wrench, a 13 millimeter socket, a 1/2 inch socket for the battery terminal, and an 8-inch socket for the hose clamps. And then I chose, you don't have to, I chose to use a 3/8 inch extension. Okay, removing the negative battery terminal. Anytime you do any electrical work, you want to remove the negative battery cable to make sure nothing is powered. You can end up with shorts and whatnot. Mine requires a 1/2 inch socket. Again, if you have replacements, it may be different, but on mine it is a 1/2 inch socket. Now, the factory service instructions say to remove the rail first and then remove the electrical connector, but I like to remove the electrical connector first. Has a pretty short wire on it, and I don't want to yank on it too much while trying to maneuver this out of the way. The electrical connector is way back right down here. Tough to make it out in the shot here. Everything is black, so it's kind of hard to differentiate it from anything else, and it's kind of on the other side. And it does have 2 locking tabs on it. One you have to slide out to the side. May be useful to use a screwdriver to get that off, but not with too much pressure because it is relatively easy to break. And then another locking tab which you push down to remove. There we go. This red tab is the one you need to slide out to the side, and then you depress on this little bit right here and pull down from the coil rail and it will be removed. Again, screwdriver may help in getting it off. I've had mine on and off several times over the last few weeks, so mine is relatively easy. Similar with getting the coil rail off of the plugs. If you haven't done it in a while, it may be slightly difficult to get off. Instructions say you can use a screwdriver or some other prying device to pry it away from the block and make sure it disengages from all the rest of all of the spark plugs. Now to remove the 4 bolts that hold it down to the cylinder head. An extension, not required, but helps get it off. Come back here, socket. These require a 13mm socket to remove. Once you break them loose, you can unthread them by hand. All 4 bolts are identical, so it does not matter where they go. You don't have to put them back in the same spot. And then the coil rail just pops off of the spark plugs, like so. Again, if it hasn't been off in a while, you may have to use some prying action or wiggling action or a spark plug boot puller to get it off of the plugs. But again, I've had this off many times over the last few weeks, so mine just comes right off. Installation is basically the reverse of removal, as they say in automotive world. Anytime you're putting new plug boots on, you want to make sure they have some dielectric grease. It appears that MSD has already applied some grease in there for us, so we shouldn't have to worry about adding any more on. And to install, just make sure that each plug boot goes onto the spark plugs snugly. You can get it misaligned, and if it does, it can cause a pretty terrible sound, make you think your engine is completely rattling itself apart. So make sure it fits onto each spark plug snugly and completely. You can feel with your fingers on the underside that they're on there. And now you want to replace the bolts. So a good idea just to start the threads on each one before you tighten them down. There's a little bit of play here, so you can end up in a situation where if you tighten them down, you couldn't get 1 or 2 of them in. And then with your wrench, you can run them down until they contact. But don't tighten them fully. Well, if they're just a little bit snug, you can torque them down with a torque wrench. Jeep's official torque setting is at 250 inch-pounds, which equates roughly to 21 foot-pounds. I kind of like to alternate them, do one of the middle ones, then one of the outside ones, then the other outside, and the other middle. Jeep doesn't specify a certain sequence you have to torque them in, but that's just the way I like to do it to make sure everything goes down evenly. Or you can do the middle ones, then the outside ones. It doesn't really matter all that much. And the last one. There we go. That's on. Now you want to reconnect your electrical connector, which just slides right on like the old one came off. Clips on, and then push your red tab back in to make sure that locks it back into place. Kind of a dual lock setup. Then we can reconnect our negative battery terminal. No need to actually torque this down, just has to be nice and tight, but not too tight. Make sure there's no movement. There we go. And we can put our intake tube back on. Again, you don't have to torque down these ones, just nice and tight so there's not too much movement. Don't want to tighten them too tight as to crush the tube or your air filter or anything like that. That is tight enough. And now our installation of the MSD Blaster ignition coil is complete.
So that's gonna wrap it up for my review and the install of this MSD Blaster coil pack in red, fitting all 2000 to 2006 4.0 liter TJ Wranglers. And remember, for all things Wrangler, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.